How to attract the right person into your life. Hi guys, my name is Loveridge and I'm a dating, relationship and personal development coach. And today I'm talking about how to attract the right person into your life. So I've got a few slides here. In this video you will need a pen and a paper because there are exercises. Now you can watch the whole video first and then come back to the exercises and write them down. But you can also, as you watch this video, pause it and do the exercises as we go along. Now it's not going to take long, so don't worry, it's not going to be like some kind of weird long assignment homework thing. This is just simply designed so you can attract the right person into your life. And I want you to know that this works. This has worked for me. I think I first discovered the concept, even though I'm not the first person to do this method and show other people to do this method. I think the first time I learned about it was from Tony Robbins. And Tony Robbins had this, I don't know if he still has it. I think he may have changed the title of it at least. But he had a program that I listened to back in the day called Get the Edge. And in Get the Edge, there's a whole CD on how to, on relationships. And I think he mentioned this method in here. It was one of his audio programs. I think it was Get the Edge. But anyway, this is where this kind of originated from, I guess you could say. So let's get into the first slide. And basically, this is just the core points of the video, what we're going to be going through. Okay, so the first thing we're going to be going through is your ideal partner list. Number 2, your worst partner list. Number 3, where to find the right partner. And number 4, asking the right questions and being skeptical on dates. I may also go into dating profiles a little bit as well at the end of the video if you are going down the online dating route. But it'll be pretty much kind of freestyle because I didn't make a slide on that. Anyway, let's go into the first slide. So your ideal partner list. Now, I wrote a quote for this, and it goes, "If you do not know what you are looking for in love, you are lost, and will most likely end up with the wrong person. If you do not know what you are looking for in love, you are lost, and you will most likely end up with the wrong person." So this is something that I did before I knew about any of these concepts that I'm going to be sharing with you. Whenever I found a girl that liked me back, or I was dating, I would immediately go into this frenzy of thinking that they're the one. I would immediately want to hook them into a relationship or want to settle them down with me. And when I look back on those times and in the relationships I did get into in those times, I realized that these people were actually really, really wrong for me. In many different ways. If you've watched some of my videos before, you'll know about my ex-partner who I stayed with for way longer than I should have. Because our lifestyles were so different, and we valued different things, it ended up being an absolute disaster. And I stayed with her for a long time because I just, that was just the first person I'd really been with properly, and I just didn't want to let that go, and I didn't think I could find anyone else. And I want to let you know that you can find someone new. Even if you think the person that you like now, or liked in the past, or it was your ex, if you thought they were the most perfect person and you're never going to find anyone better than your ex, trust me, you can and you will, but you got to believe it, okay? You got to believe that you can. Because if you think that you're never going to find someone, or you think that you're never going to find anyone better than your ex, then you're not going to find anyone better, because you're just in this kind of negative thinking loop where, you just think there's a lack of good people out there for you, when in reality, there are loads. You just got to make sure that you're in the game, okay? You got to be actively trying to find someone. So this is going to be one of the ways that you can do that can help you find the right person. So this is an exercise. So write down what you would like in your ideal partner. Include in your list what they value in life and in love, their hobbies and interests, how they look, their lifestyle choices, and personality traits. So if you could have it any way you want it, if you could have any person, if you could have the ideal person, what would they be? Just imagine you have that power. You could manifest right before your eyes the perfect partner. Who would they be? What would they have? So let's go into what they value in life and love. So when I talked about my previous relationship with my ex-girlfriend, what I valued in life was obviously like family life. Like I really like doing family things. I have very strong family values. And in love, you know, I really am someone who loves commitment. Like I love monogamy. I don't want to be in any kind of polyamorous thing. If that's you, that's cool, but it's just not me, right? And one of the reasons why our relationship went so bad was because these values weren't in alignment. They didn't value commitment, which is why they cheated on me. They just valued a lot of different stuff other than the things that I valued. And also, they didn't really want to rise above their station. They didn't really want to get anything better out of life. They were quite happy with the way things were, basically. Whereas I'm someone who's very goal-orientated. I want to have a better quality of life. And I'm always striving for that. And that's something that I've always wanted to do. I've always had that dream of having a better life somehow. Obviously then I was kind of vague about it, but now I'm a bit more clear. But you need to be clear on these things. So what do they value in life? Are they goal-orientated? Do they want more from their lives? What do they want in love? Do you want someone who is polyamorous, or do you want someone who's monogamous? Whatever way you want it. So there are hobbies and interests. So what's the kind of things that you two, if you can imagine it, what are the kind of things that you two will be doing in your free time together, like on the weekends, or, you know, after work or after school? What are the things that you would want to be doing with them? How they look, yeah, you can even say, you know, write down on your list how you want them to look. Their lifestyle choices. So, you know, lifestyle choices are probably like the kind of things that they eat, if they exercise, you know, those kinds of things. So how they, you know, choose to take care of themselves, I guess you could say. And obviously personality traits. So yeah, write out a list. You can do it now, you can do it after the video, of your ideal partner. But yeah, the point is that just to let your imagination go wild and make a list of your perfect partner. If you could have your partner brought to you by some magical way, and this is who they'd be. Write it all down. So let's go into the next slide, which is your worst partner list. And the quote that I wrote was, you must be clear on what it is you do not want. Therefore, if you see it, you know to avoid it. So sometimes, and actually not even sometimes, I think this happens a lot, but when you first start dating someone, you can sometimes get a little too emotionally involved and a little bit too emotionally attached at the beginning, and you kind of get a little bit too excited. You're just really attracted to them, you think they're great, and you know, they give out a little few red flags here and there, and you kind of ignore them because you're just so into them, or you think that you can change them in some way when really you can't. So from my own experience, and I've talked about this before, in my past relationship, even before like our relationship really began, like we was probably like a month in, she was asking me questions like, what would you do if I cheated on you? And clearly her behavior with alcohol and other such substances was not what I wanted. It's not what I was looking for. And it did make me kind of go like, what the hell, what are you doing? And it did ring alarm bells. Now, if that's your kind of lifestyle, that's great, and you want to live that way, that's fine. Obviously, you can have your life any way you want it. It's none of my business, right? And I'm very much someone that, you know, loves to do kind of like family stuff. I don't really like going out and partying. It's just not my kind of thing. You know, I prefer to do, you know, like go out for hiking, go bowling. I prefer doing, you know, just staying in and watching TV or something, watching a movie, doing those kinds of things. I prefer doing family kind of stuff. I always have. And so I should have known then that, hey, look, this wasn't what I wanted. This is not what you want. But the alarm bells were ringing. But because I was so into her, I failed to act on it or do anything about it. And I think that happens to a lot of people. We get so caught up in how we feel about someone that we ignore the red flags. But if you're aware of the red flags beforehand and you know what you don't want, then you're more likely to avoid it. But I'll go into that a bit later when I get into being skeptical when you're on dates. But anyway, you want to write down what you do not like in a partner, including in your list basically everything that I said previously, but the opposite. So the values of life and love you dislike. So for me, obviously, this would be not really valuing commitment, something like that. Hobbies and interests you dislike, so perhaps you really don't like people that, you know, play video games or something. like cars or something. Like perhaps you just don't want to be around cars. I don't know. But anyway, write it down. Write it all down. Looks that repulse you or just not ideal. So perhaps you don't really like people who are brunette like me. Perhaps you don't like people who wear glasses like me. You know, what repulses you? Perhaps you don't want someone who looks like that. That's fine. Remember, we're doing it in a way that you can get whatever you want, okay? So the next point is lifestyle choices that put you off certain people. So maybe it's someone you don't like people that just hang out at the gym all day. Perhaps you would rather have someone that likes to go hiking or go swimming with you or something. Perhaps you have a certain diet and you really want a partner that has the same kind of diet as you. So perhaps you're like vegan or something, or perhaps you're a carnivore and you really want someone who eats meat, you know. Personality traits that put you off certain people. So maybe this is like a certain kind of laugh. You know, perhaps you really hate people with like really shrill voices or something. I don't know. But anyway, write it down. So basically put everything down that would put you off a person. So the next slide is where to find the right partner. So let's get into the slide. So where to find the right partner. And the quote that I gave here, this is not something I wrote, obviously. This is something that's been around from the dawn of time. I did try to find the origin of this, but I couldn't find it. But yeah, birds of a feather flock together. If you know the origin of this, please let me know, because I'm really curious. So anyway, where do you find the right partner? So these are places where you can find someone. I think the first one is probably the most effective because it's easier to start conversations with people. And that is places and events that you find interesting. So obviously, if you go to an event that you find interesting, so let's say it's like, I don't know, some kind of like comic convention or something, or perhaps it's like a ghost tour. Perhaps it's like some kind of art exhibition or something that, you know, it's the art that you really like. Then obviously if you go there, most of the people that are going to be there are there for the same reason, because they find it interesting. So like I said, it's going to be much easier to strike up conversations with people and to make friends. Because, you know, sometimes when you go to these things, you might just be making friends. You might not be looking out for a girlfriend or a boyfriend every time you go somewhere like this. So you might actually make some cool friends. But the point is, it's much easier to approach people where you have a mutual interest, because you can talk about it. And especially if you both know a lot about it, you know, you can, you know, banter back and forth about certain things, you know, you can have a discussion about it. And it's one of the most effective ways to find like-minded people. So obviously the next way is online. That's how I met my fiance, through online dating. Mutual friends, you can find people at school or at work. And down here I put wine nightclubs and being in the general public is ineffective. So I want to write this because I know a lot of people try and use this technique. Probably not so much now because of what's going on in the world, but this used to be like what a lot of people, especially the people I knew at university, used to do. Like all my guy friends would just go out to nightclubs thinking that they were going to actually find someone. And I don't think that any of them ever met someone like seriously in that way. They didn't find a girlfriend, for, you know. So why are nightclubs and bars and being in the general public ineffective? So, you know, even people, you know, who like, oh, well, I might just romantically meet someone at the supermarket one day, you know, we're both going in for the milk and then we touch hands or whatever. You know, so why is that ineffective? Well, it's mostly social proof, because when you approach people in nightclubs and bars, they don't know who you are. And it's the same with supermarkets, so you could be anyone. Whereas if you're mutual friends or you know each other from school or work, you have that social proof. And also with places and events that you find interesting, because, you know, there's a lot of people about, you all like the same things, it's a lot easier. Whereas if you just approach someone in a nightclub, you know, you could be anyone. So it's really ineffective to do it that way. And it's the same in the general public as well, like at a supermarket. So you might say, well, online you don't have social proof, but you're both there looking for the same thing. You know, you're both there for the same reason, you're on there to date. Usually anyway, not all the time, obviously, but you know, when you actually do go on a date with someone from an online dating app or website, it's because you want to go on a date and you're trying to find someone to be with. You know, that's typically the reasons why people sign up to those things. Also, the problem with nightclubs especially is that it's really loud. It's so hard to get to know someone in a nightclub. how can you talk to someone at a nightclub? And usually people that go to nightclubs and stuff, they're just there to have a good time and to get drunk with their friends. They're not there to meet someone. So it's better to go for the first four. So go to places and events that you find interesting. Go online dating. You might be able to meet someone through mutual friends, or you might be able to meet someone at school or at work. So the next slide is about asking the right questions and being skeptical on dates. So the quote I wrote for this was, when on a date, remember you are with a stranger whom you do not know, unless you do know them from obviously school or work or something, or mutual friends. Therefore, be skeptical because they need to win you over just as much as you need to win them over. So again, this goes back to what I was talking about earlier, when sometimes we can think someone is really, really attractive, but there's also a lot of red flags. So you need to go into a date being as if like, okay, so let's find out who this person is. Not, just like you've had the first date, or you're not even gone on the first date yet, and you're already imagining, what it's going to be like to be with them. You're making up all these stories in your head about how they are when you don't really know them yet. So now that you have your list, it's going to be a lot easier to find out what you're looking for and what you're not looking for. So let's go into the points that I made here, which is, the first one is, your job is to find out if they match your criteria, but don't be cold. So obviously, don't be so skeptical that you're sort of sitting back like, all the time, looking kind of like, are you the right one for me? Obviously don't do that. Obviously when you're on a date, go out and have a good time and have a laugh and have fun. But, here and there, find stuff out about them. And you do that by, thinking back on your list. So that goes into the next point, which is ask questions about them that is based on your lists. So obviously do not bring your list, because it's going to be weird if you just pull out a list and like start, listing all the things that you want as if like you're out shopping. So obviously don't do that, but keep in mind your list. You'll remember probably the most important things on your list anyway. So ask questions based around those things, but don't interrogate them. Don't be so, like, what do you value in life and love? And, obviously don't be saying stuff like that. But, there are ways that you can find out these things through general conversation and chit chat. Don't be an interrogator. Be very chill with it, very relaxed. So, so the next point is to look out for the red flags. So what is on your worst partner list? So if you notice that they're doing something, or they bring up the fact that they like to do something that you really dislike doing, or they have something in their personality that is kind of giving you that red flag sort of warning sign, don't ignore those. If you're like, oh wait, they just said something about this and I really don't like that. I really don't like that. That would, cause a lot of trouble if we were in a relationship together. So that goes into my next point, which is, after the date, reflect on whether or not a second date is necessary. So you think back, at this point, you can look at your list and think, well, they had these qualities, so that's good. But they also had a few of these bad qualities. So, then you weigh it up and think, well, should I go on a second date with them or not? So let's say, for example, that, you really like having like really deep, meaningful conversations with people. And when you was on the date, the person in front of you was just on their phone all the time. They weren't really paying attention to you. They weren't really into, having a conversation with you. Not to ask that person out on a date again. So that's an example. So let's go into dating profiles just a little bit, because I know a lot of people use that method now. That's how I found my partner. So when you are making your dating profile, if you haven't already, if not, you can go and edit it now if you haven't done this. Just write a few things, just a few on your list, especially the most important ones, on the kind of person that you're looking for. So perhaps you want someone who does like having deep and meaningful conversations. So yeah, you can write that on there. So I'm looking for someone a guy or a girl, whatever. I'm looking for someone who, loves to have deep and meaningful conversations. And if you like to go hiking, you say, I really like to find myself a hiking partner. Just list a couple of the things that you're looking for when you are in your dating profile. Don't put anything on your worst partner list on there, just because that can come across as a bit negative. Just put a few of the positive things, the things that you are looking for in your ideal partner. Avoid saying anything about looks or anything like that. Don't worry about that, because you never know, you might change your mind. If you have any questions or if you have any tips yourself, then please leave them in the comments below. If you would like me to discuss something in a future video, then also leave that in the comments below. If you'd like help with me personally, then please go to www.christineloveridge.com/shop to get coaching with me. Please like, please subscribe, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye, guys.